Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Motorhead Garage is presented by DragonFireTools.com. Let's talk about catalytic converters. They're an important part of your car's exhaust. They clean up the dirty exhaust, make the air cleaner coming out of the car. This Toyota and a lot of other vehicles actually have two of them on there. And at Clifton, you're with Cat Security. Talking catalytic converters, thefts are way up nationwide. Why are people stealing catalytic converters?
It's all about the minerals. In each catalytic converter today, you have platinum, you have rhodium, and you have palladium. Platinum and palladium, about $1,000 an ounce. Rhodium, $5,000 an ounce. So they're stealing them, cutting them open, taking the minerals, and recycling the minerals. They're paying about $250 to $350 for each one of them, but your bill is going to be a lot more than that. Most of the bills that I see with catalytic converters are anywhere from $2,500 to $7,000 if you have two, good luck. So it's not a victimless crime. It will put that vehicle down. If it's an old enough vehicle, they don't even report the crime because they got liability insurance. They have to total the vehicle. Even sometimes in apartment complexes or parking areas where they park one place and go take a train or a subway or something to work, they go in there and clean them out while they're at work. They're cleaning out their car. They come back and they've got a problem they have to report to the insurance.
Truly gone in 60 seconds sometimes. So how is Cat Security an insurance policy against getting your cat stolen?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do, but the best thing you can do, our founder developed this product in 2019, and he had a client that was having problems, and she got it sold twice. And so he developed the first shield. It's a patented product. It has a proprietary metal blend, and what it does is it covers that, so when they come to get it, they can't do it. This metal, they can't, the saw blade doesn't work on the metal, so it's kind of a deterrent because they can go to 10 other vehicles in the time it would take to try to mess with this. It's like a skid rail or skid plate under a vehicle. So it gives them a little bit of an insurance policy against theft.
Well, this bolts on, and how much drilling do I have to do if I'm installing one?
Minimal drilling. Most cars you don't have to because we have a unique solution that's designed for each model and make of the vehicle. And so there shouldn't be very much drilling at all. A C technician could install it himself in less than an hour. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, maybe it'd take you an hour and 15 minutes.
Gotcha. Now, if it can bolt on, though, how easy is it for the criminal to unbolt it and take it off?
Well, the reason that it's hard is because each of these nuts are locking nuts, and they have a unique key, and so it couldn't take it off that way. It's kind of like, remember when they used to have locking hubcaps? Yeah. They were a good deterrent against stealing tires and rims, so it's sort of the same philosophy.
Now, you mentioned the DIY job. You can do it yourself, certainly. What if I'm not mechanically handy or I don't have the time to do it?
Well, if you go on our website, www.getcatsecurity.com, we have a unique installer list there that you can find. Put in your zip code, find a local installer, or you can go on YouTube and just watch the video and probably do it yourself. It's made in America. We've been around for 5 years. We were the first ones to develop the product and the best.
What makes a system from Cat Security better than some of the other systems I've seen?
We have a patented shield, we have a proprietary steel blend, and we have a viewing window here that's required in several states, and that's getting to be more up. You have to be able to look at the part number on the catalytic converter once you put anything on below it. So we have it designed uniquely for each vehicle, make and model, so it's a perfect fit.
And let's talk about makes and models. How many different vehicles do you cover?
We're adding makes and models every year. We're on Ford, Toyota, Nissan, you name it, we got it. And we're hopefully, I mean, literally, we're adding products every year because the vehicles are changing. We have an aggressive plan. Maybe in the next 2 years, we'll have 100 models, but we'll see. I mean, it's basically, we take the ones that are stolen the most.
Which ones are those?
Toyota. Toyota's the number one. Has to do with the mineral mix in the vehicles. They're pretty easy to get to. And so they're littler, smaller, easier to get to, and they have a good mineral mix. Remember, we talked about the commodity mix of the minerals.
Where can folks get a system from Cat Security?
They can go to www.getcatsecurity.com, find somebody there, or they can go online. We have them on Amazon. We're on all the different platforms, so they can buy them unique there, or we have distributors as well.
You can get them just about anywhere, and if you go to getcatsecurity.com, you can learn a whole lot more about them, see some cool videos on installation as well. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com and more great products for your vehicle next.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, Shade Wagon, throw some shade, and by DragonFireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
This is Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Hey, let's go back in time to 1969. What an amazing year for scientific innovation. First of all, the computer network was invented. It was called the ARPANET. That came that year. Bubble wrap was a brand new thing, if you can believe that. And of course, in July of that year, man landed on the moon. Americans loved their muscle cars in 1969, and 1969 was and still is the marquee year for the Chevrolet Camaro. There was the Corvette ZL1, and the Plymouth Roadrunner was the best-selling car in America. As for pickup trucks, they were just for work and for getting stuff done, and that's what makes them such a hot commodity today, because trucks from that era are so hard to find, especially nice trucks from that era. They were worked so hard and they were left to die behind the barn. If you're lucky, it was left to die in the barn, and that's why you can still recover a truck or two today. That's why I love seeing cool truck restorations like this 1969 Chevrolet C10. This one has a beautiful patina look. You know, it looks like it's been sitting in a cornfield for 40 years, but if you look closer, tons of upgrades on a build like this, because if you're going to do it, you want to do it right. The original engine has been replaced with a gorgeous big block 396. Obviously, the truck has been lowered. Disc brakes all around make the truck a lot safer than it was with drum brakes back in 1969, and more of a daily driver at that. One of the most popular mods people do when they restore a classic vehicle, air conditioning. Trust me, that's the first thing I would do. And this one has been retrofitted with AC, and they did it really well. As for audio, the owner has, of course, chosen custom AUTOSOUND. Now, we talked about 60s technology, some amazing innovations, but car audio back in 1969 was not so amazing. You got an analog signal, and most radios were AM only. If you were lucky, you got FM too. Maybe you had to pay a little bit for that upgrade. And you had to listen to all of it through one little speaker on the dash. And if you got fancy, you upgraded to some speakers in the door, but that's not too common in a truck back then. So naturally, if you're doing a build or restoration now, you want the latest in audio technology. You want great sound, of course. You want Bluetooth, hands-free stuff. You want USB charging, and maybe you want an aux cable or something like that so you can run a CD player and listen to your tunes. But how many times have you seen a beautiful classic car with an aftermarket stereo in the dash that's lit up like a 1970s disco with a big EQ display and everything? But thanks to Custom AUTOSOUND, you can have the latest tech and in a stereo that perfectly fits your vehicle's vintage look. Radios from Custom AUTOSOUND look just like the original stereos from your cars or your truck's era, and the analog display turns into an easy to read and easy to use digital display when the vehicle is in motion and when the radio is turned on. Rest assured that Custom AUTOSOUND isn't just about looks, though. They're all about making high-quality audio equipment. Units from Custom AUTOSOUND are durable and they're made to last. Trust me, we've seen their headquarters and we've seen how they do it. Custom AUTOSOUND's radios and speakers are made at the same factories that make some of the world's finest audio equipment. Every Custom AUTOSOUND model undergoes extreme temperature testing, a temperature aging test, and the super important vibration test. The vibration test is extremely critical in a muscle car or a vehicle like this. When you have a big block V8, you're making tons of power and you're going to have lots of vibration too. You want to make sure your stereo is going to last through that. All the connections and everything need to stay connected. On our visit to Custom AUTOSOUND, we found rows and rows of technicians assembling the units. We saw how all of their techs hand inspect and adjust every single item they produce before they go out the door. Custom AUTOSOUND designs all of their units to be easy to use and easy to install. Now, Scott from our Motorhead Garage team made quick work of the whole thing. First of all, Custom AUTOSOUND makes sure that their radios fit perfectly in the original factory opening in your vehicle's dash. They replaced the original to a T. And we saw in their facility how they actually have a library of original dashes they use just for reference. And when you're making all the electrical connections, Custom AUTOSOUND makes it so simple. Every single wire, every single connection is both labeled and color-coded. Just a couple of clicks with the wire harness connections and you are good to go. Of course, it's always weird working on a car stereo because it's down near the floor and under the dash. Just take your time, especially when you begin to stuff the whole unit. up into the dash and up and behind it there. You want to make sure you don't snag any of the wires. And again, just take your time and you'll be able to get it in there. Once you get the radio in the opening, use the nuts and the washers provided by Custom AUTOSOUND to keep it in place. Sometimes it's handy to hand turn it with a socket to run those nuts down on the post. A couple more nuts and washers will let you get the unit adjusted and positioned just right in the dash. And then it is time for the knobs. Now the knobs from Custom AUTOSOUND totally complete the look, and those knobs control all of the functions of your radio. Custom AUTOSOUND has a huge variety of radios and speakers made to fit your vehicle. They have radios that are made specifically to fit your make and model of car or truck. And if you look at their website, you'll see they have radios that fit hundreds of different vehicles. No doubt they'll have one that works for you and one that works for your budget. Now, Custom AUTOSOUND stands behind all of their products with a 2-year limited warranty. And if you want to find a system that'll give you great sound and stay true to your car's vintage looks, go to CustomAutosoundMFG.com. Next week, we're going to add some speakers to this beautiful truck, and we'll show you just how easy that is too. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com and more great products for your vehicle next. We've got questions. We hope you have answers. Here it is from our friends at the Shade Wagon. Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com continues.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, coming to you from the Shade Wagon studio.
Here is the answer to the trivia question of the week. You know, we do it in each and every show, and we want to thank the folks at the Shade Wagon for bringing it to you. We've got the pedal to the metal as Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, keeps rolling.
All right, you're driving along. It's a beautiful day, 70 degrees out, windows down, scenic route, and wah, 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 check engine light. Is there an engine problem? Or maybe not. Welcome to this AMSOIL Tech Tip. You know, a check engine light pops up on your dash. It may not be an engine problem. You could have a transmission problem. You can see up here a P0750. That's a trouble code, and that would cause that check engine light. But that P is for powertrain, the 0 is generic, and then look at that 7. 7, 8, and 9 are all transmission codes. So you may have a P07, a P08, or a P09 related to the transmission, and yes, you will get that check engine light. Well, what's happening? Well, you have all these different sensors, shift solenoids, output, input, pressure control, torque converter control, all kinds of things going on inside of that transmission. What can you do? Well, you can do a good visual inspection. Just go down to the transmission, take your pan out and be careful. Look at all the electronics riddled inside of there. Once you pull it down, get your fluid out, and then you can start doing your inspection. Check your wire harnesses, check your shift solenoids, check your filter, check your pressure control solenoids. Just go around and look at it all. Sometimes some of those wires get chafed, sometimes some of the solenoids are loose, or that trouble code will give you a direction inside that transmission to go to. But when you do that, you want to use quality fluid, because you know that transmission ain't going to work at all without fluid, because everything is driven by pressure.
Yep, this is a fluid-powered unit, so the oil is doing a critical job on that one. The killer is, and you'll agree with me, I think, on this, is heat. The transmission gets too hot, the oil gets too hot, it starts to oxidize and it turns into a varnishy, sticky mess that isn't going to do all of those things inside that transmission. So the key is to get the oil to be able to carry all of that load. Okay, so the key there is, as we've discussed before, is starting with good building blocks. So that's the base oil, and then the antioxidant component we add to the oil that helps it be able to, you're towing heavy loads, you're carrying big stuff, all kinds of crazy heat that gets in that transmission. The fluid continues to do its job. That's the key.
Replacing a transmission can be just as costly as replacing an engine. So why not protect it with the best? Just go to AMSOIL.com.
My name is Michael Wold. This is my 1977 Pontiac Can-Am. A Pontiac Can-Am is a one-year-only 1977 car built by Pontiac, where they took the Le Mans body, Trans Am engine and drivetrain, and the Grand Prix dash and made something special, Pontiac Can-Am. I've been obsessed with the cars ever since I saw the first one in 1977. I just wanted something different than everybody else had. You just never saw these on the road even when they were new. What showed up on Facebook Marketplace was in Kansas City, Missouri. Their dad had put it in a shipping container in 1986, and it sat there until he died last year. They posted pictures on Facebook. I was there in Kansas City the next day with cash in my hand to buy the car. Needed some work, and it's still got some things to deal with, some little odds and ends. Put a couple of fuel lines on it to get it started when we got it home. At this time, none of the seals need to be replaced, but if and when we're ready to replace them, I'll get them from steel rubber. And the car runs great. It's so much fun. My wife really doesn't understand it because we had one in 1980, and it was her daily driver. And so for her today, 44 years later, it's just an old junky car. But this one really is special to me because that's the year I graduated high school. I met my wife in high school my senior year, so it just kind of takes me back to that era.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage, and brought to you by PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store. Fit to Ride, safeguarding your windshield, strong, simple. And by Smedding Performance, building high-performance turnkey crate engines for over 30 years.
Spending some time out here in Phoenix, Arizona at Shock Therapy. Now, Justin, we've seen this incredible facility here. You guys will service anybody's shocks, any brand that comes in, you can service it and then rebuild it. But when it comes to stuff you sell and stuff you put on the vehicle, how much of that do you make here in-house?
You know, we make everything in-house. There's very little that we source out, maybe nuts and bolts, that's about it. But we're very particular about the components that we build. We're very particular about how they're built. The only thing we install here are products on every vehicle made, and we do service every single shock made.
And when it comes to parts, how many different part numbers do you manufacture?
Currently we have 450 SKUs. To be honest though, some of those are 4-seat spring kits versus 2. And so that actually brings it down to about 200.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
How important is it for you to make everything here, to make sure it's what you need?
You know, making everything is paramount because we originally started with other companies building things for us, and we really couldn't control the quality. And so we brought all the manufacturing in-house. We do all of the CNC work here. We do all the welding and fabrication and design work here in-house. Starts sometimes with a sketch on a notepad, and then from there goes into CAD drawings, engineered drawings, and then to CNC programming language, and then prototype components.
How do you decide a part needs to be made in the first place?
So the way that we approach our parts design and where we're going to go with it is basically the need in the vehicle as we see things starting to fail. As we make the vehicles ride better, sometimes people drive a lot faster, definitely a lot safer, but when you do that, you'll find the next weakest link in a UTV. So for instance, if we do a spring kit, internals, and you're able to go 50 miles an hour through the whoops instead of 40, you might find that the tie rods are now the weakest spot. We'll go ahead and make that. And once the tie rods are fixed, you might find the next weakest link could be a radius rod. We then go down the next part and the next part on the list until we get to the end and you've got a UTV that'll put up with the abuse.
Someone that may be new to the UTV world, out there banging around on the trails, like, oh, what's a couple thousand? So why is it going to make a difference that you guys pay so much attention to the tolerance and to the materials you guys use?
You know, high quality materials, the best heat treat, the best coatings, all add up to longevity. And longevity and components are very important to us as well. You can buy aftermarket parts that may only last for 1,000 miles and now it's worn out and you got to buy another one. What we try to do is design parts that are a lifetime component for the UTV. So you buy it once and you can forget it. You're going to be worrying about something else on the vehicle, not our parts.
But that is not a good business model if people only buy from you one time. So how do you make that work?
You know, you're right. Maybe we should have failure points, but
some people do.
They do, and we see it, but not with us. We really want to make sure that we build the best thing. We want to also make sure that no one else can improve on our part. It's designed in such a way that nobody can make it better than we did.
Quality is tantamount to shock therapy. What's one of the ways you can make sure folks are going to get a quality part when they get it in their mailbox?
From the beginning, high quality CNC machining. Number 2, checking the components after the fact. We've got a ton of scanning devices that'll verify all of our tolerances. After we send parts out for things like heat treat, anodizing, we always check all the heat treat ratings with a Rockwell tester. We spot check all the batches. And throughout the assembly process, we've got a whole list of things that must be checked and signed off. by that assembly person and documented. It's also documented for history attached to the part number of that, for instance, rack and pinion. We know exactly who assembled it. We know exactly the tolerances that were in it for the rest of its life.
Like every good story, it starts at the beginning, and you've got to start with high quality materials. How do you ensure that?
So everything that we use and source material-wise is located and sourced inside the USA. We also make everything in the USA. So we're very, very proud of that. We're very, very stringent upon the materials that we get, and all of them have history certs, so we know what mill they came from and what batch they were in.
The PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week is a little different this time. Now, let me explain. You know, racing is a huge part of the automotive industry and one of the most important things that drives innovation. So many of those innovations find their way to the cars we drive every day. And each December, everyone who's anyone in the racing industry gathers at the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show in Indianapolis, for short PRI. 3,400 vendor booths, 70,000 attendees. The folks at PRI work so hard to grow and improve the sport that so many of us love. And if it wasn't for racing, we wouldn't have safety innovations like the rear view mirror, disc brakes, and seat belts. And we wouldn't have performance technologies like fuel injection, independent suspension, and so many other things. So thank you to the organizers of the annual PRI show. You are the PaintedAutoParts.com Motorheads of the Week. And by the way, if you're not in the motorsports industry, Motorhead Garage is the only way to get an insider's look at the PRI show. Look for our coverage of the show in just a few weeks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another edition of Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com. So long.